Hi, today we're going to be talking about innovating culture and community through media with women. And it being AAPI month, let's celebrate.
Welcome to the She Means Business Master Society podcast, where we empower entrepreneurs to thrive in their journey. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship. We've faced our fair share of challenges, and that's why we've created this space. Here, we will connect with incredible guests, key figures in their fields who have navigated the ups and downs of their entrepreneurial careers. Together, we will share our experiences, insights, and tools that can help you elevate your business to new heights. So, get ready to be inspired, motivated, and equipped with the knowledge you need to succeed. Let's jump into today's episode. Comenzamos.
She Means Business.
Welcome, everyone, to the She Means Business Society podcast, Sports Highlight Her. And today we have Miss Toni Rose.
Hi, thanks for having me, Jen.
Thank you so much for coming.
Always.
With everything going on today with media and, all of these podcast things, there's a lot of movement with that going on. And I definitely, first, let's introduce you, right?
Okay.
Toni Rose, let's go back.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello,
we'll
everyone.
introduce you, Toni Rose. And I want to just, give you your flowers because you've done so much in the community.
Oh, thank you.
Sisters in events, sisters in Christ, sisters in everything. I just love and respect you so much. But knowing that you have 17 years in production and entertainment, you started at Viacom MTV, children's theater production, summer rose planning and design. You're a wedding and event producer. You're also in real estate.
Yes.
And then you also host an event, the Mahalo Halo, annually, which I've been to and attended, which is amazing. And then you also have your own podcast.
Oh my God, yeah. And I have children. Right?
And you're a
family,
mom
yes.
and a wife and all of that and
Yes.
juggling. So yeah, go ahead. I mean, talk a little bit
Thank
about,
you.
some of those things and how they're important to you.
Us women, this is a perfect platform. I think She Means Business is the phrase for all of us, right? We really do mean business when we try to be our best and be our best in whether it's work, through our family, through your passions. And I think incorporating that in the time that we have here on earth, I think it's really important to share that with everyone, right? And thank you for giving me flowers because we don't ever celebrate ourselves. I think we're so busy trying to give back and trying to do and be our best. So when you are recognized or just, given that small accolade, and it doesn't have to be a trophy or anything, it's just relating to women in the sense of like, hey, I see you, I got you.
I got you, sis,
Yeah.
for sure. And let's talk about first, this event. I know it's coming up, and talk about the podcast. And did the podcast come first? Did the event come first? Because they have the same name, correct? Mahalo Halo.
Correct.
Okay,
So,
so talk a little bit about
the event came first because it was just kind of a vision for me to begin with. It was not so much something that I wanted to do. And then when the space, Container Park, and of course your husband James was able to give me the platform to do it in, it was just, it had to happen. So Mahalo Halo is basically mahalo meaning thank you, and halo halo is mix. So it's a mixture of sweet community, and it features a lot of talent, local talent, business, and services, not only for the local community, but for the PhilAm and, the AAPI. So it's grown tremendously. I think we have a lot of great support in the community just because it's free. And we feature a lot of the local artists. So it's, just supporting one another and in any way we can. I think the start for me was mainly just tithing. When you go to church, sometimes I'm not able to offer either time or the finances. So this is more of my heart to the community. So giving back and, not really expecting anything in return. So.
And I love that with the Mahalo Halo giving back and what you're saying, even supporting businesses, local businesses. Now, can anybody attend, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it's free, so it's all ages. Container Park is, a great space. Lots of businesses there that are established, and then so we bring in vendors from retail to food to local services. I'm a realtor, so I try to not push that, but I also want to also represent, us business people, that we do give back and we're able to pay it forward. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And with it being Asian American Pacific Islander Month and really recognizing that we are both Pinay, Filipinas in the house. So talk about that, right? How culturally that influenced you and that background, being the powerful woman that you are, like how our culture really like pushed you to kind of do better and kind of how that bled into the things that you're doing now.
I think it's for my children. They were born here. I was raised until I was about 5.5 in the Philippines. So coming here, I have the roots of the Filipino tradition, but I have, the instilled cultural, upbringing here in the States. So with my children, it's like I don't really have the tools to really show them how I grew up. But if I can expose the Filipino in some way, somehow, whether through clothing, through the music, through arts, through just people in general, we're all kind of spread out here, but we have at least, I think, 11%. We make up 11% of the population here in Southern Nevada.
Wow,
so,
I didn't know that.
I think that, yeah. So it's like that's why we're also called the Ninth Island, because there's a lot of islanders here. But yeah, it's for my kids. I want them to kind of grow up knowing, like, hey, just because you were raised here doesn't mean you forget your roots and you forget who you are. And I still have to remind myself, like, hey, you are Pinay. Like, what did you learn growing up, and what do we want to instill in our next generation?
And yes, that's amazing. The fact that, I think sometimes as business owners and as women, and when we take on so much, we have a lot of that focus. But the fact that you're so rooted and anchored with your family and your faith, that's a good purpose for you.
Hey, it's hard. It's not easy. I mean, like, we wear so many hats, and like yourself, you have led, your group of women and your culture here. So flowers to you too, sister, because it's not easy being a mom. We go through the seasons, and as women already, we have, the stigma of doing better and being better because we can. But oftentimes we're like, hey, why don't we just take a step back, and why can't we just watch other women also flourish and be amazing?
And I know we've had this conversation before prior that, whenever we do have a family and we take on that hat role of like, okay, mom, and there's so much emphasis on that, we kind of forget about ourselves.
Absolutely,
right? So maybe talk a little bit about how you're able to ride the line, right? Of like saying, okay, I'm not just a mom, and I'm not just the Uber driver, the maid, and the cleaner. I can still pursue my passions and pursue my dreams, and through that, being the example for my children.
Right. It does take a lot of energy, and we're young enough where we can expend that energy in, the passions that we have, whether it's sports, music, talent, or spending time with your kids. But you often forget that you have to be still in those moments and really just be by yourself and understand, hey, what do you need right now? Because you're often giving so much to everybody else. And I think, being Pinay, we're strong, we're ambitious, we want to do it all, but at the same time, it's like, no, it's okay not to do it all. It's okay not to wear that hat today. Like, you can just not do anything. We got to give ourselves grace. And I think, she means business all the time is a lot of energy. So we have to take that time to reset, recalibrate, and be still and pray. Pray through it.
Yes. And James tells me that all the time. He's like, do you have to do something all the time, every day, all the time? And I love that. Just, I hear it. Be still, right? And really be able to sit in moments to give yourself flowers, right? Whenever we're doing some of those things. And so you said that you were born in the Philippines?
I was born in the Philippines.
So let's go back to like little Toni.
Gosh, little Toni. She was a little rugrat. She was running around in her little tank top and maybe some shorts and maybe barefoot and, or slippers, chinelas. So, I went back there. I had the opportunity to go back there in November, and it was such an incredible rewind of where I'm from. Totally different from what I remember. But of course, just being in the motherland and being with people that look like me.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere. There were so many. But just the culture, the food, the landscape, and just the difference between a developing country to what we're privileged enough to have here.
Sure.
Coming back, I was humbled. I was like, do not complain about nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and we often do because we don't know any
First
better.
world problems. Yeah.
Right. So coming back, I was definitely served a good amount of humble pie because we were able to speak to people there that are just happy, you know, having their little store, their little sari store, and selling whatever they can just to get by. And if they didn't, they would eat their, you know, their produce.
Yeah.
So
I know you said that your dad played a pretty big, I was reading some of your stuff, that your dad played a big influence in that. How important is like father power and, you know, because I know we talk a lot about strong women, but I love, because my dad had a big influence on me and my journey to even liking basketball and sports. And so I love that dynamic. So, you know, talk a little bit about, what that looked like for you.
Oh, so my dad passed away in 21. Thank you. But you know, he was such a light. I mean, we had our tough moments growing up in my formative years because he raised such a assertive and very like strong-willed girl. I come from a family of 3 girls, so I'm the oldest, and you know, being first girl, first granddaughter, and first grandchild, it was
A lot of pressure.
Oh my God, she's the manager. Like, so I was in that role for a long time, and I'm finally trying to take that step back, but bringing it back to my father. He was the anchor to our family. You know, I watched my parents grow up, so I was able to learn from them like what I don't want, but also the struggles that they faced, right? But my dad always had humor. Music was a big part of our upbringing. He was able to just, you know, be resourceful. You know, he brought the Tondo boy from, you know, from Philippines here to the States, and he was very helpful to all of his siblings too. So, he helped a lot of people come over to here and also get their footing here. And then, you know, they eventually essentially had their own life here. So I watched him help a lot of people. And I think that kind of translates to me.
Was it like traditional? I just think, because we were just in the Philippines too, and we got to see Joe Coy. Shout out Joe Coy. We're talking about Filipinos. But yeah, and then the movie, the Easter Sunday movie, and I love how he threads in, you know, Filipino culture with comedy. Right? You know,
You have to.
But it's just funny because it's true, right?
Well, that's why they're called stereotypes for a reason, yes.
It's true, right? And I love how he's able to, you know, have audiences that aren't just Filipino.
Yes.
Right? But did you feel like you grew up kind of like traditional, like how he talks about with, you know, don't touch my things?
Right. Well, you know, I'm now the tita, so I totally relate. You know, growing up, we'd make fun of our titas, and, you know, our parents run their, you know, events or parties. And so now I'm that tita where I want to coordinate everything and I want everything right. But I get it. But I love Joe Coy because he's able to mesh the American and the Filipino cultures so perfectly, because you know,
and really connect, and where everyone laughs whether you're Filipino or not.
You get it, because you can put yourself in that situation and you're like, oh, I was there. I've been to a Filipino party where, you know, they tell you to eat 3 times, or, you know,
take some home,
eat more. You're like, but I'm full and I need to go to the bathroom.
Right.
So it's comedy is key. Like, you have to be able to laugh at your failures. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. Not take yourself so seriously.
And I just mentioned him too because, you know, we are talking about, you know, the innovation of community and culture through media, right? And he's definitely been able to do that and be a pioneer for that. And I know for, you know, me, so we'll kind of, you know, talk about your podcast, right? The Mahalo Halo. So make sure that you're watching and following, because and I was able to actually be a guest on there. So if you want to like
Mahalo Halo and then some.
And then some. And you have a co-host.
Palepa. MC Lepa Leps.
Yes, she's amazing too. Yes, girl. Yes, sis. All of it. And so talk about, I know that's one of your endeavors, and we'll kind of talk about some of those, but how did you start that? And then how's it going? Maybe some advice, because I know a lot of people, especially now that we're doing this, are like, how did you get that started? Like, what did you do? Like, what's the, the motivation, all of that.
I'm all about alignment. Like, I don't push a project unless it feels good and it feels right and the right people are in play. I don't like to force it, just because when you force things, sometimes it doesn't work out and you give yourself that hard time, right? But that was actually presented to me after I had done Mahalo for, I think, the first full year. PHLV Radio, Kuya Johan, and the team was gracious enough to give me the platform. And then, of course, I wanted to be able to share the light with someone else. And MC Lepaleps, we did the fundraiser for the Maui Strong Foundation back in 23. So when I met her, everything aligned, and she was able to join me on the podcast. And, we've shared each other's stories. We've been through life in the last 2.5 years together. And just having that sisterhood really propelled where she's at too, because she's also in media, entertainment. She's an MC. So I give her so much credit and pay her flowers, because she's also a mom and an entrepreneur. So, we see each other through it, and really support, not just from afar, not just spectating, but really speaking life to each other, praying.
I love it.
For sure. Yeah.
I love it.
Because we don't get through real friendships, like hardcore friendships, without that true vulnerability. And it's rare. Those are rare gems. So
Amen.
Mahalo halo and then some. It's just another additive.
Yeah.
Just a sprinkle to the things. Yeah.
Well, and I love, the fact that, and thank you again for allowing me to speak there, this talk about community, right? And is it hard to balance all of your other projects and what you're doing, and maybe speak about some of those other endeavors and projects that you're doing within real estate, within media, and maybe, like I said, just talk about how do you do that? How do you do that?
Gosh, I don't know. I drink a lot of coffee. Bring in a Starbucks or someone to sponsor us. I just said it.
Our better buzz.
Yes. It's just, I know that we're here. We're here for a purpose. We move with intention. We move with purpose. There's only so many days that we have to really share our gifts. And when you sit at the right table, like they say, if you don't have a chair, pull one up and sit next to the people that you want to be like, you want to shine like, right? Yeah. Because those people are never going to criticize you. Once that person is doing better than I've never experienced where a person doing better than me has criticized or has judged me based on the progress I've made. It's always been like encouraging words. It's been very like positive. You often find yourself trying to get validation from people maybe in your family that you're like, hey, I'm doing this, and they're just like, oh, that's far-fetched, or that may not be possible. But right. I never thought I would do real estate, and I said, hey, I'm gonna go for it. We moved here. I said, let's take it on and pass the test, and here we are. And then we're now investing in commercial real estate as well. So there's just, you got to believe in yourself first, through prayer, through the hardships. You got to get out of here, because this will play tricks, right? And as far as like people, you just got to be around the right people.
Yeah.
All of it. Like it all plays a part. And if you're not around the right people, you're going to always doubt yourself. You're always going to feel like, oh, well, can I do this? Can I? But if I speak life into you, like, hey, remember, this is what you've done already, and remind you of what you're powered to do.
Yeah, I love all of that, as far as getting out of your own head, right? Because I know the person that you actually speak to the most is yourself. And not a lot of people are recognizing that or aware of it. Do you have like affirmations or anything that you're intentional about that to allow you to speak to yourself? Because I know someone as busy as you, right, that you are influenced a lot, and you are in conversation and community a lot. Is there anything that you do for Toni to just talk to yourself?
If I find myself waking up in the middle of the night, I just say a prayer. because I know God woke me up in that moment to be like, okay, well, you're thinking about something, you're anxious, you're anticipating whatever project you're working on, and I just say, hey, you need to go back to sleep and rest. And I think a lot of it is, we're always on the go with the kids, with work, trying to build business, trying to build your funnel for, I'm in real estate, so you're constantly thinking. Yeah. But if you just, like I said, step back and just anticipate the nothingness for that moment, I think it makes it easier for you the next day. Like some people like to prepare their outfit the night before. That prayer really helps me to just get back up in the morning and just say, hey, like, every day's different and every day's going to be hard. Amen. Every day's going to be a challenge. But I think, we just got to keep going. We can't sit there too long. Yeah. You can have your moment, guys. Like, take your moment.
Take a breath.
Be upset. Be sad. Complain a little bit. Question, like, what's going on. We all question God. We all question our purpose. But at the end of the day, like, you got to move.
Yeah, and allow it to flow through you, for sure. Yep. You can't harbor all of those things. Now, I know we talked about sports a little bit. You have an affinity for sports. You played sports. So maybe, like, take us back to that, too. Because I've had guests that, have played collegiately, played professionally, but I wanted someone like a team mom, not only that had that sports background, but that is also in the throes of raising kids that are also playing sports and how that looks like. Because I think part of what we had chatted about whenever we're like, okay, we're just mom now, and we kind of like throw everything into our kids, but you've done a great job of allowing yourself to like let them live, but mom still has a life too. Right. So maybe talk about that a little bit.
I have incredible children. They're my gift. And I'm learning to be a better person because of my children. My oldest daughter, she is a competitive gymnast. We're actually, we'll be going to North Dakota for the regionals, Westerns. And she is just an incredible person, one. So she grounds me. So I understand the level of commitment when you are a parent to, basketball players that are overseas, right? But all three are very different. My youngest, she is a softball player. She decided she doesn't want to do gymnastics because the leotard is not for her. But, everyone's different. So I also have to adjust to the difference in personalities. And then my son, he's more of an artist. He's more of a creative. He took on baseball, but he's like, no, Mom, I'm not into it. He loves basketball, So, I think it's just really understanding their personalities and then regrouping and saying, hey, what's priority? What's the priority? Are you trying to, like when my oldest daughter, she was in 8th grade. I was like, hey, do you want to take this to college? Because we either stop now or we keep going. Right. And you're either in or we're in the way. Right. So
it's a good serious time for sure.
And it costs a lot of money, so
you're investing that. It's a lot of money time.
A lot of money time, a lot of work time, a lot of overtime.
Right, all of it.
No sleepy time, but they're just incredible. And I hope that by doing the things that we do as parents, we give it justice to pursue it even greater, whether it's the sports. But that's a foundation of a lot of character development too. They are just incredible little people that figure out, like, hey, if I'm not on time, I'm late. Yeah. It's the little things. Yeah. So.
Shout out to all the good kids out there supporting moms because Mother's Day is coming up too. Happy Mother's Day. So you did play sports, so maybe talk a little bit about those sports and how that mindset paralleled and transferred, to your mindset now and what you do in business and that ambition.
So I played volleyball for 4 years. I was varsity. We had won championships. Go Poly Parrots. And we are still the sisterhood now. We actually reunited a few years back, and we've been in touch, kind of seeing each other's progress through life. But the socialization of it is key because you learn to be defeated or you're not always going to win. And when you are the top dogs or the winning team, you're so used to being on top. But when you are defeated, you're like, you got to lose gracefully, right? Sure. So all of that, learning how to be coachable, learning how to take criticism, learning how to adjust, being prepared.
Yeah.
All the time management. If you don't have your shorts, you don't have your knee pads, suck it up. You're not going to play.
Right.
So.
All the discipline and
yes. Discipline, time management. And it carries into business because you're going to be self-motivated. If you don't practice, if you don't master what you're trying to do, you're not going to learn any more than what you know.
Right.
So a lot of it is just really self-motivated and just, being that go-getter, not so much like, oh, well, I got this, I already know what I'm doing. Well, no, there's always room to learn. There's always room to fail too.
Yeah, I love that. Would you say what's the biggest takeaway that you got from, being an athlete and then what you're doing now?
Knowing your body, knowing who you are, your spatial coordination, when you're in a room, read the atmosphere, allow yourself to take that breath before you have a conversation, negotiation skills. In real estate, it's not so much who is smarter, it's just more like let's listen, let's wait, anticipate. In volleyball, you don't know where the ball's going to go, right? In any sport, you're like, well, pass me the ball, but they never pass it to you. You're like, dang it. But I was open.
Anticipation wrong.
Right. And you're hopeful, but
Right.
you're like, all right, didn't go my way. And
Right.
like, what can I do better to prove to my teammates they can trust me?
Yeah.
What can I do better to show them that I can handle the ball if they pass it to me?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
we are talking about AAPI and the fact that in sports there aren't a lot of Filipinos.
Us
right?
brown girls are good too.
Right. So maybe talk about, was that a barrier for you? Because I know there aren't a lot of Filipino basketball players. That's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's okay. But for me, that definitely, I love a challenge, and I love it when people tell me no, and I love proving people wrong. It's
Right.
like in me. I'm like, oh really?
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
what's up, right? So,
Yeah.
did you feel kind of any of that, or?
No, girl, because we came from a brown don't frown community,
I grew up in Texas, so it's a little different.
Yeah, we were. Our school was in Sin Valley, California. So I grew up with a lot of Hispanics, Filipinos, blacks, whites. We were very mixed. We were a mixed crowd.
But I love that though, and that's the show. But I mean, like again, the difference is, I love that you grew up in a very supportive, like, because in my experience, right, completely different.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, there you're like, dude, minority is that's the norm.
Yeah.
Right, and we can make this normal and keep pushing that movement of like minority women athletes is a thing, right? So,
well, I think it was more of the height thing, right? So for basketball, it's like you need to be
No basketball.
like breaking 5 foot at least, right?
Right.
But there's for us it's not as hard, because volleyball, you could the shorter you are to the ground, or the closer you are to the ground, it's easier. But as a hitter, I can hit, but I'm not as tall as some of the girls.
Sure.
So you had to work just as hard, right?
Right.
To prove that you can be a opposite or an outside hitter. But, you just got to practice. And if you can prove to the coach that you can do it, he'll put you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love all of that. So with everything, going on, and I thank you so much, for coming in today.
Of course.
Is there anything else you would like to share and say, and especially with, all of your businesses, any shout outs of what you would like to talk about?
Yeah, if you're looking for a home here in Las Vegas, check me out, TRPL Real Estate. But other than that, just keep pushing positive. I think as women, we already put so much pressure on ourselves to do more and to be more and to show each other up. And I think just be in the moment with the people that are aligned with you, because you do mean business. And when you meet each other where you're at, you're not expecting too much, you're going to do great things. And, our community is already filled with a lot of incredible, just this year, I've met so many incredible women who are pushing a lot of just new ideas, and including yourself. So, give yourself grace, give yourself the time, but don't take too long, because just start.
Start. Amen. Well, awesome. Thank you so much again for, just being here. Your love, your light, your sisterhood, your faith means a lot to me. and for Jackie and, providing this platform. But yes, so thank you for joining us for the She Means Business podcast, Sports Highlight Her. Again, I am Jen Gonzalez with Miss Toni Rose for today, celebrating community and culture through everything. So have a good one.
Thank you for listening the She Means Business Master Society podcast. We will see you in the next episode.